What's up, YouTube? What's up, Xtreme Gainz family? I'm Chuck. This is Xtreme Gainz. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today is Monday, June 6th, 2022, and this is my AMC, GME, and SPY Algo exposed daily update and preparation video for tomorrow and beyond. As always, I hope you had a great day in the market today and you were able to make some extreme gains for yourselves. I'm going to go over all the regulars that I always go over, my snake algo for all three tickers, and some macro comparatives. So with that said, let's dig in. Real quick, my extreme gains today from my 7 tickers that I set up every day. I had, I think, 13 entry from trigger today, the highest ROI being 90%, the lowest being 20, and a bunch in between. So they all landed, every ticker, all 7 of them landed for at least 1 entry from trigger today. As a matter of fact, only 2 of them were for 1 each. The rest of them had multiple entries per setup and per trigger. So they landed heavy. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I hope you were able to take advantage of the volatility and make some money in the market today as well. All right, let's dig into the charts here. On your screen is AMC and my current intra-week snake. AMC finished the day today down 4.02% at $11.95, and it's currently the same in after hours. The intra-week snake that is on here is the blue that you see on your screen, and I talked to you in last night's video about potentially diverting from one or the other. I had the day of and the day prior to from the previous diversion still on here going into today because they projected the exact same thing leading up until today. We obviously diverted from the ascending green one that was on here last night to the downside, and we also at first glance here diverted from this one to the downside as well. The morning started off well. The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1 hour candles fulfilled the projection, and then right at market open it got flushed and dumped out instead of running upside with that projection. However, if you look at this, I've shown you this before in other videos. If you clip today's price action, I'll contrast it so you can see it and mirror it. This is an exact replica and mirroring of that upside projection in a downside manner with price action today. So there's a couple different ways I could handle this. One, I could look at it as a mirroring, and if that is mirrored and stays in the mirrored fashion, then obviously I would mirror that, and this would show the projection moving into tomorrow if it were to stay in that manner. However, if it does not, there is a potential that this could converge back with this and then finish fulfilling this to its expiry, which is Wednesday morning, according to this, but it could expire prior to that, dependent upon the price action. Or I go ahead and I look at this like it is, and I guess chalk it up as a divergence. And if I do that, you guys and gals know the drill. I clip the day of and the day prior to. I'll clean this one up if and when one of these next potential day of or day prior to potential intra-week snakes start to fulfill going into tomorrow. Then I will clip the rest of this off and clean the chart up for tomorrow night's video. But anyways, here is the day of. This is today's clip. And if I overlap it onto today's price action to get the projection and fulfillment candle for candle, you see what the projection is from this moving forward as the potential next intra-week snake if price action were to fulfill it in that placement. Then the day prior to, which was yesterday, and the only way to place this is right down in here where the bottom was today prior to that bounce up out of there. And if I put that on there like so, you get the overlap of that portion of today's price action. And then you can see that it does indicate the same thing initially here as the day of divergence, today's clip. And then it looks like tomorrow morning, a diverting point from one or the other, once again, of these potential intra-week snakes. And you see what the projection from it is moving forward if price action were to fulfill that in that placement. I do also want to draw your attention to this. The two of them are literally almost a mirror image of each other. These are 2 completely different days that have been clipped for use, and they look like mirror images of each other. Excuse me. So as long as we don't run right down the middle here, or obviously divert to the downside away from both of them, that is what I am looking at for potential price action tomorrow and potential fulfillment of a new intra-week snake moving into tomorrow and beyond. The macro comparatives for AMC. The current macro that I've been looking at is from the double right next door, the double bottom right over here, clipped and flipped and then placed. And it has been projecting and fulfilling for weeks. Here you can see what the projection was moving into today. And once again, if you look at this, I clipped this. This is today and Friday's price action. If I clip that and I mirror it and I flip it for a mirrored inversion and I take it up here, what is it? An exact replica of the projection of that macro comparative in a mirrored manner. So that appears to be a mirroring of this high inside corner. And this is where we're currently at. And you can see what the projection is moving forward from this macro comparative in this position if price action were to continue to fulfill it. And then I talked to you about it potentially being mirrored. If they were to mirror like they did today on the micro and that were to translate to macro, what would that potentially look like moving forward? And this is the placement of the macro comparative in a mirrored position for this second portion. And it did fulfill that projection to the downside today. Obviously, not to the price level, thank God, which I'm okay with. But you can see here what the projection is moving forward according to this in the mirrored position, and the difference from it being in its straight up position moving into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it in that manner. Then, Then I used a portion of the same double for my bearish scenario, and I've been using it for weeks, and it has been projecting literally almost candle for candle. And the position that I've had this in is right here. And once again, the projection from this for today was fulfilled. And you can see what the projection from this would be moving into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill this in this manner. Then I talked to you briefly about the box top setup and the box top schematic that I have charted on here. If price action were to continue to respect this, I would expect a W formation of some sort to fulfill underneath this third prior to price action moving back up to it at a minimum. So that is what I'll be looking for from this current box top schematic that I have charted on here on the macro. So that's everything I'm looking at for AMC. GME. GME finished the day just like AMC, down 4.19%. It is currently up 0.7% in after hours at $129 even. The current intra-week snakes, just like AMC, I had the day of and the day prior to on here going into today. And there was a diverting point that I talked about in this one going into this morning. Last night I talked about it, and that is what happened. We rejected off of that and we went downside today and fulfilled the consolidative blue one and not the ascending green one. So as it stands right now, this green one is invalidated unless obviously price action were to somehow run itself right back up and converge back with this first thing tomorrow. So I'm going to move it off to the side, but at this point it's essentially invalidated, and there is the fulfillment of the projection of the current intra-week snake for GME and what it is projecting moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it in that manner. Then the macro comparative for GME, just like AMC, is from the previous double over here. And just like AMC, I've looked at it in two positions. A straight up position, which is what you see here, and the projection from it for today was fulfilled with that downside move. And you can see what the projection is from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it in this manner. And then here is the macro look of that, which I give you every now and then to look at if price action were to continue to fulfill that in its entirety. Then the mirrored position. I had shown you this again in last night's video and previous videos as well. This is the difference between it running downside after the consolidation and it running upside after this consolidation. And here is the position of that in the mirrored position. It as well fulfilled to the downside today, and you can see what the projection is from it moving forward if price action were to continue to fulfill it in that manner going into tomorrow and beyond. That is everything I have for GME. Last but not least, SPY. The current intra-week snake is the yellow one that is on here. Let me get rid of this. And SPY finished the day today green 0.3%. It is currently down in after hours 0.05%, trading at 411.60. The placement of this that I had it in going into today, that I chose to place it in and follow, was what you see here on your screen. It did fulfill this consolidation here in that manner. And now it's heading downside here, so I may have to reevaluate positioning. I did go over a couple different positions or potential positions of this with you going into last night's video and going into trading today. So we'll see what that looks like with another day or two. But for now, it's still within that framed in portion of consolidation. It's all going to depend on whether it moves upside or downside from here as to where I position this moving forward. But that's what the current intra-week snake looks like on SPY. The current macro comparative is from the 08-09 correction and crash in what I've called the extended version. And the position of price action in it is right here on the corner, like I talked about in last night's video, about being right here at that critical point for the drop off of the cliff, according to the 08-09 macro comparative, for price action to eventually then fulfill the crash of 08-09 if it were to continue to fulfill in that manner. It's very obvious that the only thing in this position as a projection at this point would be downside, whether it happens immediately, whether it consolidates out here a little bit and then comes down. Nonetheless, this has been a projected, suggested path, and that is the next generalized perspective of macro movements from price action that I would want to see if this were to continue to fulfill. As well as the cuckoo crazy ass bullish macro comparative from crash to crash that I have on here, that I talked about from the bottom of 09 to the top of 2019, and then placed on the bottom of 2020 to the current position. And then it shows a continuation to upside out of this W formation to all-time highs. If price action were to continue to run bullish to the upside, there's the W formation that we just put in a couple weeks ago worth of trading, and we are now right here within that macro comparative. And obviously, if this price action were to break and bounce and continue to the upside according to this similarly, then obviously that is something we'd be looking at. But this is that critical point that we are currently in when it comes to one or the other drastic measures here according to those macro comparatives. If price action were to continue to fulfill one or the other in that manner moving forward into tomorrow and beyond. Hopefully tomorrow I will have some better insight as to the current intra-week snake for SPY, and the movements that it may give tomorrow may give that insight into this moving forward a little more than what, or a little better than what I currently have with it right now. So that is what I am looking at with everything GME, AMC, and SPY related, and that is everything I have for this video. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much. I hope you have a great day in the market today and you make some extreme gains for yourselves. I will get an update and prep video out tomorrow night, like always, after market close. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will talk to you all tomorrow on the next one. Later.